They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So then you said that they put millions of my people. Yes, you said, sir.
Should a murderer go to jail for murdering?
Absolutely.
Should a thief go to jail when he steals?
Absolutely.
Should a robber pay back the money he robbed?
Absolutely.
So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did?
That's right. That's right.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
I'm in a hell of a hole, was never expected to grow. Just obstacles set in the road, that a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never our home, only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting, the trail of my tears is countless. Main fact that I'm here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles and make it official. I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be, slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cage and safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash, get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood slim. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in this body, you fit the Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is served cold, I just hope they making oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in a world of mad shooters. Devils design fire for our babies to pass through it. And the day of our king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
Someday you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
They killed, give me Isaiah 14 and 21. They did the same thing to my people. So then you said that they put millions of my people. Yes, you said,
Should a murderer go to jail for murdering?
Absolutely.
Should a thief go to jail when he steals?
Absolutely.
Should a robber pay back the money he robbed?
Absolutely.
So why shouldn't the white man pay for what he did?
That's right. That's right.
One day you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog.
expected to grow. Just obstacle set in the road. That a result of me selling my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The white man's the devil is known. America was never a home. Only a place of captivity, safe facility, hating disfigure me. They claim that I'm lazy, be killing me. Maybe this slavery draining my energy. 400 years and counting. The trail of my tears is countless. Main fact of them here is astounding, but I can't wait till this shit is surrounded. Ready to tangle my king and the angel, be ready to rap. Crack in the sky, nuclear missiles and make it official. I'm capturing every cracker surviving. Put them all in chains where they need to be. Slavery for me. And let the whole world see that with them in the cage is safer in the streets. Put the dog on a leash. Get resolved for the beast. 144, get the ruler show, we could all be at peace. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your kingdom we busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now.
You'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood slim. It won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch his body turn to flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next Glock I buy gon' be Gen 5. I get it customized. And sending shots off like farewell. Praying payback come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Honda's words ringing in my head like bells. Said you in this body, you fit a Lord, fuck the cartel. Triangle choke, apply pressure to the game like I did Vondale. Payback's a bitch in a dress, she a bombshell. Revenge is dish served cold, I just hope they making oxtail. Glock fresh out the box, I swear it got that new car smell. Made myself a target in a world of mad shooters. Devils design fire for our babies to pass through. In the day of our king's reign, I'll be overzealous. They bought my jealous, I bought brand new parabellums.
someday you'll see just how it feels. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a dog. It's a dog. Payback is a
All right. Shalom, shalom, Israel. Can everybody hear me all right? Can everybody hear me all right? Make sure everybody can hear me all right. All right. Before we get going, if I can get a 1 or 1 West in the chat, if y'all can hear me okay. All right. Got a thumb up. I think somebody, at least one person can hear me. Let's see who else. All right. All right. I'm assuming Mr. Brother Tony can hear me. Everyone else can hear me as well. Most High in Christ. All right. All right. Now they got good coming in. All right. Most High in Christ. The wild. All right. We're the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Since 1969, we've been teaching the truth of the Bible. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group or any other Christian organization. All right. Tonight is the history class. All right. Let me bring Salaki. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahshabakatah.
Yahweh Shem Yahshabakatah.
Most High in Christ. All right. And matter of fact, Salaki, before we get started, I'm going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahshabakatah. And to the sisters. Yahweh Shemar Alathan by Hashem Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Shemar Alathan by Hashem Yahweh Shai.
All right, tonight is the history class. And as we always get into it, it's very, very important to know our history, both inside and outside of the Bible. All right. We tend to have a negative disposition towards our history, not wanting to have an understanding of it, but it's so important to make sure we learn the lessons of our forefathers and our foremothers. All right. We got Officer Carl Sapar in the building tonight. The water, the brother's coming. We're gonna tag team this class a little bit. All right. Before we get started, we're gonna give who's in the building, get these shout outs. Salaki, my brother, Officer 500, Yagadar. Congratulations to that brother. He got raised up. Now an officer of 500, Most High in Christ. Proud of that, brother. Good to see you tonight, brother. All right, we got the sister Aisha is in the building. Let me see, man. Get that. There we go. Sister Aisha is in the building. Shalom, sis. Brother Quashah is in the building. Shalom. All right, my rib is in the building. Sister Aya. All right. The brother, I feel like I'm going to mispronounce your name every time. The young man, this is Sister Aisha's son. I believe it's Essa. I believe is the young brother's name. He's in the building. Shalom. All right. Aqua Tawa Bath is in the building. Shalom, sis. Let's see. All right. Got the young man, Edward Lee. All right. Shalom. Yabashim Ashabrakatah. All right. Let's see. Got Aqua Chanel is in the building. Good to see you, sis. Most High in Christ. Damn right. We got the hand claps. Absolutely. And Salaki, the water, I appreciate it. Y'all can do I appreciate it, brother. Damn right. Me and you. All right, Salaki. So as we kind of always get started, we know knowing our history is very, very important. We tend to have a negative disposition. It's so painful being under this oppressor, having not only endured the transatlantic slave trade, the Jim Crow era. What continues to happen is as our brothers and sisters are unalived on a regular basis, from Tamir Rice to Trayvon Martin to George Floyd. I mean, the list is long. The list is absolutely long, and that's just a part of our oppression. Our neighborhoods, these what do they call them? Food deserts. If anybody's ever heard that term, food deserts are predominantly in our areas where we don't have our communities don't have a source of good, solid, well-balanced food. It's all, it's all in this kingdom. It's all preserved and it's low quality anyway. But then our communities tend to have a lack of even that. And these are all parts of the curses that were going to befall the children of Israel if we didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandments like we were supposed to. You got anything you want to add with that, Officer Cospar?
Nah, not right now. We'll get in a little bit later. Just do listening, No
sweat. So those are the things that we know these are all part of the curses that were going to befall us. And if anybody has not, I know anybody in this class, you probably have, but in case you have not, read the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy 28. All right. The first, I think it's 14 verses are really talking about all the blessings that are going to happen to Israel if we follow the law, statutes, and commandments. But from about 15 to the end, which is I think 68, talks about all of the curses, all of the negative, all of the things that are going to happen to us as a nation if we did not listen to the Most High. And of course, as you go through the rest of the Old Testament, you see Israel went in and out of following the law, statutes, and commandments, and then not following the law, and then following after other nations, following the law, and then following after other gods. And we know here, our nation as a whole, again, so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, we don't follow the law. If you are not in the Israelite school of UPK, you are not in the truth. All right, you are not following the law the way the Most High wants us to. And we are judged as a nation. right? And that's why our communities experience, again, all of the downfalls that we do. Our communities, our history, again, transatlantic slave trade, Jim Crow era, so on and so forth. We're all familiar with that. Most of us are familiar with that. Even if you are not a so-called Negro or a Judite, most of us are familiar with, so-called Black folks, so-called Negroes history in America. But a lot of times what we are not as familiar with our other brothers and sisters, the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Native Americans, so-called Latinos. A lot of times we're not as familiar with that. All right. A lot of brothers, I spoke to a brother last year sometime, I believe it was, and the idea of reservations came up, and Native Americans being on reservations, and this brother spoke about it like it was a positive thing. In his mind, we as so-called Black people were worse off than they are because at least they got a slice of land. At least they have the ability to generate income via tourism and gambling. So they're doing better. Now, that's absolutely nonsense. That's crazy. But we as a whole don't know the state and condition that these reservations are in and how they even came to be. They were very purposeful. So let's start it off. We always like to ask questions to get the participation going. So who can tell me, who knows what one of the main purposes of even creating reservations were? Who can tell me what that was? There were two main reasons to create reservations, so-called Native American reservations, right? Who can tell me what those two main reasons are? Let's see. Let's see who may know, who may not know. Slocky. Let's see. There were two very specific reasons. Very specific reasons. Slocky. Let's see who wants to give it a shot. All right. Let's see. Why did you do that? No, sorry. Let's see. All right. All right, let's see. Brother Tony said to get them under government control. That was a reason. That was definitely a reason. It wasn't the primary. It wasn't one of the main reasons, but that was definitely one of them. That was definitely one of them. All right. Young man Edward Lee said population control. Not so much population control. I get where you're going though with your thought pattern, but not so much that. All right. Let's see. Sister Chanel said to determine which ones were brainwashed. So but I'm gonna come back to that comment about brainwashing. It wasn't to determine which ones were brainwashed though, but you are definitely in the ballpark. All right, containment. That's also in the ballpark. That's also in the ballpark. Sister I said to control and to push them from the land they wanted. All right. Well, she has answered she's closest to the answer. All right. The main reason containment is the first reason. Containment is also in that space. Control, get them under government control. All in the right ballpark. What they wanted, though, specifically, was to get them out of the way, first and foremost, so they could have the rest of the land. They could have the rest of the land. There were treaty after treaty. Anybody who has any understanding of Native American history, we're going to go through it. There was treaty after treaty after treaty. They were always sign and okay, we got a treaty. We're gonna have some peace now. But part of this peace, this is Esau talking to northern tribe. Part of this peace, though, is that you have to give up some land. We'll stop battling, but we got to have some of your land. And so they would sign it over, and then be peaceful for a short period of time, because Esau is the devil the Bible speaks of. The oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of. So then it comes back. They come back, and then they want more. And then there's another treaty that's signed. Okay, now you've given us some more land, and then it'd be quiet for a while. And now Esau wants more. Who can tell me what Esau's plan was? There's a term, a phrase in reference to, trying to say it without giving it to y'all. There's a phrase in reference to the growth of America that Esau determined gave him all rights to do anything he decided in order to gain this land. Who knows what that term is? Who can tell me what that term is? There's a specific term. You all probably have heard it. Even in Esau's school, they taught this. You went to public school in America, you've probably heard this term before. What's in Christ? Officer Yaquawam. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Rakatah. He is absolutely right. Manifest destiny. That is the term. Manifest destiny. Young man Edward Lee is correct as well. Manifest destiny. Manifest destiny is something that they completely made up, that said that it was their God-given destiny to expand and take over the land from the Atlantic Ocean all the way to the Pacific. Manifest destiny, correct. Obviously, Yagadar is correct as well. Most High in Christ. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yashabrakatah. Lake Charles, Louisiana. Okay, Most High in Christ. All right. Manifest destiny, correct. You are all correct. Let me see. Sister I said they are above all others, so they control all others. That's a different way of putting it, but yes, that's essentially the same idea. Same idea. But manifest destiny is that term. And because of that, again, it's okay. It's lucky because of that, no treaty was ever going to be enough. No treaty was ever going to be enough, because as soon as they say, okay, we got a little bit of your land. All right, fine. Now we're going to have peace. But in their mind, they need to control the entire country. They need to go from one ocean to the other. So with that idea, there's never going to be enough peace. There's never going to be a treaty that works. And there was never a treaty that worked. Every single one was broken. So they got more land and more land and more land. All right. This is something that we have to be mindful of, because fake Israelite groups want to exclude our First Nation brothers and sisters, our so-called Native American brothers and sisters, from being Israelites, from their heritage. Right. They want to say it's just about if you ain't black, so-called blacks, you ain't a so-called Negro, then you're not Israel. That's nonsense. All right. And we have to make sure we know what the history is of our people, so that we can understand that they are Israel, and they went through in a ton of ways curses that were worse than ours. All right. Curses that were worse than ours, and their existence today in a ton of ways is worse than our existence. The average so-called Judite existence in this kingdom. And to think that they are not still in captivity exactly the way we are, and then again, a lot of ways worse, is absolute nonsense. So we have to make sure we are aware not only of the history, but what's going on today. All right. So we're going to get, again, like I said, 28th chapter of Deuteronomy is where we're going to be primarily coming out of. We're going to cover a few scriptures, and then we're going to get into some of this history. All right. So give me 1 second. We're going to start at Deuteronomy 28 and 21. You know what? Before we get there, we are going to jump into some of the history first. So there we go. We're going to jump into some of the history first. Oh, Salaki, I didn't go and finish my thought. So we got the first reason for the reservations. Again, control so they can take the land. Does anybody have any idea what the second primary reason was? They wanted the land first, which goes back to control, which goes back to government control. It goes back to all of that. But there was a second reason, a second primary reason for these reservations. Does anybody have an idea what that was? Let's see. And if I could, the sister Chanel, when she used the term, she said to determine which ones were brainwashed. It wasn't to determine which ones were brainwashed, but she's in the building with her answer. She is definitely in the building with her answer. Let's see. Who wants to give it a shot? Let's see who wants to give it a shot. All right. Edward Lee looks like he's getting together his answer. I understand. Probably hit enter. Probably hit that send button a half a second too soon. No sweat. We're going to wait on you. Give him a hand. Give Edward, the young man Edward, a hand to create Christians. He is absolutely correct. All right. The two main reasons, I'm trying to get it. The two main reasons. Sister Chanel says so they could see what they were doing with the children when they took them from their parents, so they would be far. Oh, I see what you're saying. So they couldn't see what they were doing with their children. I think that's what you're saying. So Edward Lee, young man Edward, was absolutely on it. And not just Christians. That was part of it. That's definitely part of it. But it was about assimilating the Native Americans into being more like white people. That's what it was about. They wanted to make sure that they brought them in, that they isolated them. When y'all go under the control and all that, they isolated the brothers and sisters so they could get the land. Once they're isolated, then they're under government control. Now, the resources and everything, we're going to get into it, but the resources and everything are limited, right? And you have to change your way of life in order to have any level of survival. At one point, and we're gonna get into it. I don't want to give y'all too much, but the average Native American culture, the sisters farmed, the men went out and hunted. That was the way it was set up. But once they put them on reservations and the oppressor comes in, well, that's not the oppressor's lifestyle. The oppressor's lifestyle is that men farm and women, they're in the home. They're making sure they're doing housework and stuff. Well, that wasn't our culture. And even now, We've gone into it several times. The Bible does not talk about a sister being at home and not doing anything. A sister is supposed to be productive. She's supposed to work. That's what's supposed to happen. Brothers, the men provide guidance, protection, so on and so forth. That's our culture. But in order to assimilate them and change how they live their life, they isolated them to reservations, controlled the resources, and then forced it. All right. So that's the overall. So we're gonna get into a little bit of it, and then we're gonna get into some scripture. We're all coming out of Deuteronomy 28 tonight. All right. So y'all can definitely start getting your notes together. All right. Is this the one I want to start with? No. Yeah, we'll start here. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I could, just grab a couple of scriptures. I'm just listening to you talk, and these devils so wicked, man, and the things that they have, Psalms 83 say they have taken crafty counsel, against our people, man, and they devise so many wicked things against us, because the earth given into the hand of the wicked. But even with all that being said, the things that you explaining, what they've done, putting our people on reservations and things of that nature, the Bible say that we would be put in the dunghills, some of the lowest places all across, the world, really, but we could just focus on the United States right now, within itself. But, we feel the barrios, the projects, the reservations and things of that nature. And but even with all of this being said, with all the divisiveness and the wickedness that these people have done, and a lot of our people know about slavery and the things, we learned about that as well in school, as you were speaking on the manifest destiny thing and things of that nature. But even with all of that being said, like it says here in Lamentations 4:17, if I could, it says, as for us, our eyes as yet fail for our vain help. We still looking to, these people for help with all of the things that they have done to us, all the wickedness they have devised against us. And we still look to these people for help. I listened to the radio the other day, people still talking about go ahead up there and vote this and that, like something gonna change. I mean, I think in our minds, we may think that something really has changed. Here it is 2024. We still talking about going and vote, things of that nature, and just to continue on, and that says, in our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. These people can't save us. The only way we're gonna be redeemed is through Yahweh Shai, putting our trust in Yahweh Shai and coming into this UPK under the command of General Yohanan. That I yield.
Most High Christ. That was heavy what you said too, because again, we all know about slavery. We learned that in school, but yet to your point, we still get out there and vote. We still think actually casting a vote is going to make a difference. And again, I said it before, because we're so close to this oppressor, because we don't know who we are, because this oppressor allows us to get crumbs that, and some brothers and sisters get more crumbs than others, and we think because of that is actually that means we're in a better space and we're not in captivity. You are absolutely right. Shalom. How about you, Officer Yarasha Moth is in the building. Damn right. Sister gave him a hand. Damn right. Officer Yagda said, damn right. Absolutely. Everything you said was absolutely on point. All right. Let's see. All right. We're going to get into, just had it up. All right. Get into some of this history here. There we go. And again, when y'all were talking about control and all of that, y'all are absolutely right. I think y'all can see that pretty well. Hopefully, it says the main goals of Indian reservations were to bring Native Americans under U.S. government control. Again, the ultimate purpose was so that they could get that land. Minimize conflict between Indians. I don't believe this. And minimize conflict between Indians and settlers. But think about what that means. Minimize conflict. You're minimizing because the so-called settlers are trying to steal their land. So what you do, what the government did, what the America did was say, okay, they're trying to steal your land. We're going to essentially lock up the victim. You're trying to take their land. So we're going to take them and put them over on this reservation. That's essentially locking up the victim here. Right? It says, and encourage Native Americans to take on the ways of, now this is from historychannel.com, take on the ways of the white man. I am quoting there. All right. It says, but many Native Americans were forced into reservations with catastrophic results and devastating long-lasting effects. All right. And as we're going to walk through it, Treaty of Hopewell. All right. In 1785, that's how far back. All right. 1785, the Treaty of Hopewell was signed in Georgia, the largest state at the time, placing Native Cherokees under the protection of a young United States and setting boundaries for their land. That sounds good. That sounds good. But again, we cannot trust the suppressor, all right? Because his words are smoother than butter, but war is in his heart, as the scripture says. It says, but it wasn't long before European settlers intruded on Cherokee land. The Cherokees cried foul and revolted against the white settlements. To reestablish peace between the Cherokees and settlers, a treaty, the Treaty of Holston, was signed in 1791, in which the Cherokees agreed to give up land outside of their established borders. So once again, this is okay. If you want to calm all this down, then you got to give us some land, and then we'll stop. It says not only did federal government want Native Americans to give up their land, they also encouraged them to become farmers and Christians, as young man Edward said. Absolutely. And as a sister Chanel said, this is all part of, this is really brainwashing. This is assimilating you into a culture that has nothing to do with you. It says in the early 19th century, settlers moved from this into Southern Cherokee territory en masse and wanted their government representatives to claim land. This is after the treaty, after the second treaty. It's lucky. All right. We 2 treaties in, and they moving in mass and taking over land. So the United States acted to remove all Indian nations from the Southeast. Georgia agreed to cede her western land to the government in return for Indian land title. Who's familiar with the Louisiana Purchase? And this is how wicked this oppressor is. And maybe it's just me. Like even growing up in school, I had a perspective. Like, of course, y'all tried to, y'all stole the Native Americans' land. Y'all absolutely did, and that didn't belong to y'all. But even then, it's taught in this way. It's taught in this manner that it doesn't really give you how wicked it was. It's taught in this, again, manifest destiny. It's taught in this, look what we accomplished. That's the way it's taught. And sure, when you're sitting there and you are not Esau, you can hear the difference. But that's their mindset. This is an accomplishment. Our destruction was their accomplishment. When you hear people talk about, when I've heard Esau now, you bring up, well, y'all stole, the Native Americans' land. Well, that was just, they were conquered. It wasn't stealing. But when you conquer something, that's an accomplishment. We have to understand that, again, these are our enemies. These are our enemies. All right. Deuteronomy 28 and 31. So lucky. That's what I wanted. Deuteronomy 28 and 31.
Deuteronomy chapter 28.
I didn't realize you were gonna read the water. I appreciate it.
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 31. Come. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes.
Keep going.
And thou shalt not eat thereof.
So again, this is starting out. The ox shall be slain before thine eyes. Our Native American brothers and sisters, they lived off of the land. They lived off of bison and buffalo. That was, listen, you slaughter a bison or a buffalo between the food, from the meat, the hide, the clothing. There was so much in that. There were all these resources tapped into that, right? They wiped out the population as part of this. They took out, and then again, they, like we read before, they changed them. You know what? You're gonna be farmers now. You don't even have to hunt no more. So they wiped out those bison, those buffalo, the way that they live. They took out those resources, and as the scripture said, the ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Now you're no longer living your lifestyle, so you can't eat what you did. You can't live the lifestyle you did. You have to assimilate to what we do. Now you need to farm. Keep going.
Come. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face.
Keep going.
And shall not be restored to thee.
Exactly. And again, this is about resources. This is about when it says thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face. That is your assets, your land, these things that are yours, they're going to be violently taken away. And they will not be restored to thee. They were taken away, and now you go live on a reservation. They were taken away slowly at first. We'll have a little scuffle here, a little scuffle there. You know what? We'll sign some treaties. You give us some land. That happened over and over and over again, and we're going to see eventually. You know what? Leave. We're gonna confine you to these spaces, and if you fight back, we're going to destroy you. Keep going.
Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies.
Keep going.
And thou shalt have none to rescue them.
Right. And again, this is talking about your assets, your resources. They're going to be taken and given to your enemies. And that's exactly what happened between the land, all the benefit from the land, everything that our ancestors lived off this land in harmony. In harmony. I say this all the time. Anybody who's familiar with the Matrix movies, that first movie that's seen where was it Agent Smith? Where he's talking to Morpheus and he says, you know, I've been studying y'all. He says he's been studying humans. He says you all are like a virus. Y'all move to the area and just take it over. Everything else gets an equilibrium with nature, and everything else does except this oppressor. This oppressor does not have an equilibrium with nature. This oppressor destroys everything. When this oppressor wants to finds any fish in the sea that it enjoys, it hunts it till it's extinct. That's what this oppressor does. Everyone else finds a natural balance. We definitely found natural balances because that's what we did. We lived off the land, and that's what our brothers and sisters did in the Northern Kingdom as well. But once they were taken away, we had no might, no power to rescue them, to get anything back. All right. Brother Tony said they say it's not hate, it's their heritage. Right. That's what they say. It's heritage. It's heritage. That's what they say. And it makes absolutely no sense. Their heritage is theft. Their heritage is crimes against our nation. Centuries and centuries and centuries of crimes against our nation. That's their heritage. But they don't look at it that way. They say that's their accomplishment. Salaki. Sister Anah is in the building. Yahweh Shema, Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right. So let me see. The Louisiana Purchase. That's what I was asking about. Who is familiar with the Louisiana Purchase? We heard about that, right? We heard about the Louisiana Purchase. Who knows what the Louisiana Purchase actually did? Who remembers that? Kind of like, do y'all remember? Let's see. Let's see. Let's pull this up real quick. It says the Louisiana Purchase was the largest real estate deal in history. At that moment, it was. And one of the most important achievements of the Jefferson administration. That's Thomas Jefferson. That in 1803, the U.S. government bought 828,000 square miles. All right. This was, I think I looked it up, it was 540 million acres. 540 million acres. Absolutely right. Brother Tony says the French sold it to America. Correct. It says of land in from France for $15 million, or get this, or about 4 cents per acre. 4 cents an acre, and it doubled the size of the country. It doubled the size of the country. All right. It says the newly purchased territory covered land encompassed between the Mississippi River and the east to the east, and the Rocky Mountains in the west, from the Gulf of Mexico in the south to the Canadian border in the north. All right. So again, I think I have. So let me stop this real quick. I think I had a picture. Oh, come on. There it is. So this you can see is the land that was purchased in the Louisiana Purchase. All right. Up until this was purchased, America was just over here. All right. It was just over here. And then when they got all this land, you can see it doubled. They still didn't have all of this because this was still, I believe, still all Mexico. It says New Spain. I'm not sure where that is. All that was still Mexico, I believe. All right. But we're going to see once that happened, what was their next move? Who could guess? Think about what we're talking about. What was their next move for our so-called Native American brothers and sisters? Once America purchased all of this land, what was their next move? Who wants to give it a shot? Let's see. Who wants to give it a shot? Now, up until this point, where they're making treaties, they're breaking them. It's all in an attempt to get more land. Not quite. All right. Sister Raya said, force them to work it. Not quite. Not quite. At this point, the tribe of Judah was doing all of their work for them. All right. But it wasn't quite that. Let me pull. I'm gonna pull this map back up because I want y'all to again understand Esau works in steps and stages. Did I close it? Esau works in steps and stages. Right. Oh, my bad. That was us. Right. That was us that was working their fields at that point. So think about how this is. Now everybody's over here, right? This is where everybody's existed. Well, I say everybody. This is where they've immigrated to. They're fighting, they're battling over land. They want it. They have a manifest destiny, right? But they're all battling in all of this green area. And even you see it here, it says Indiana territory, but they're battling with so-called Native Americans in this green area. Once they purchased all of this in Louisiana Purchase, what was their next move? Somebody else give it a shot. Call support. What you think? Got any idea?
I mean, from what you're showing, all I can see is that they was making a move on the what they call, I see you got on this map, New Spain.
Right, that was the eventual move, right? But I'm talking about in 1803. Once they took this over, I'm gonna give it to y'all for the sake of time. Let me see. I'm gonna leave that up, but I'm going to read. Yes. It says after the Louisiana Purchase, Thomas Jefferson hoped to move eastern Indian tribes past the Mississippi River. So basically, the whole thing was once they bought all that land, you know what? All you Native Americans, y'all go over there. There you go. Sister and I got it. Sister and I got it. Move them off the land. The land that they were battling for, the land that they had to keep making treaties for, we don't have to do that anymore. We're going to send you over there. We're gonna uproot you and send you over there. All right. Clear the land, not quite. At this point, their whole goal, because again, Esau does things in steps. Their whole goal was to take over all of that green that you see on the map. At the time that the Louisiana Purchase was made, they were still battling so-called Native Americans for that green, for the land that's in green. So once they got the brown, you know what? We got somewhere to send y'all now. We got somewhere to send y'all, and we'll make a case for it. Hey, look, we're going to take your land here, but look what we're giving you. Steps and stages, all right? Matter of fact, I'm going to keep reading this while this map is up so y'all can have a context. I'm going to start back. It said, after Louisiana Purchase, Thomas Jefferson hoped to move eastern Indian tribes past the Mississippi River, but most Indians rejected this idea. When Georgia held lotteries to allocate seized Indian land, the battle-weary Creeks, the Creek Nation, who sought sanctuary in East Alabama, fought for their independence against a militia of Andrew Jackson, which included so-called friendly Indians, right? After suffering a devastating defeat in what became known as the Battle of Horseshoe Bend, the Creeks yielded more than 20 million acres of land to the federal government. So they fought and they lost. They yielded 20 million acres and then left, right? It says over the next several years, the government passed several acts to diminish Indian autonomy, despite the Cherokee forming a new constitution-based government of their own. This is something else they attempted to do. Again, this is all about control, brainwashing. Now that we have your land, we need to change your way of life. What you're doing is wrong. We need to we wanted you to be a Christian. We want to bring you into Christianity, manifest destiny, worship this blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus that looks just like me. That was their whole game. All right. And once you do that, once you take away a nation's God, and you have them worshiping your God, you essentially have a built-in slave, second-class citizen. All right. All right. Let's see. Where else did I want to go? We're going to keep going. Pull this back up. Indian Removal Act. Because on May 28, 1830, Indian Removal Act was signed by President Jackson. The act allowed the government to divide land west of the Mississippi to give to Indian tribes in exchange for the land that they quote unquote lost. All right, same deal. That the government would pick up the cost of relocating the Indians and help them resettle. The Indian Removal Act was controversial, but Jackson argued it was the best option since settlers had rendered Indian lands incompatible with sustaining their way of life. Now, how did they do that? We just talked about it, and you gotta. They're so slick. He's so slick. How did they render the lands incompatible with their way of life? They took out all of their resources. They took out the bison. They wiped out the population. They did not allow them to have the resources that they were used to having. So now you can't live your life. Now you have to go. What we just read in Deuteronomy 28 and 31. Now you have to go. All right. Of course, you had the Trail of Tears. They did cover that. I don't know about everybody else. I think they covered it once when I was coming through school. It says over the next few years, the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Salakia, and Creeks were forced to move westward on foot, often in chains and with little to no food and supplies. Even some Indians in the north were forced to relocate. In 1838, President Martin Van Buren sent federal troops to march the remaining southern Cherokee holdouts 1,200 miles to Indian territory in the plains. Disease and starvation were rampant, and thousands died along the way, giving a torturous journey the nickname Trail of Tears. Salakia, can you pull which one is it? Deuteronomy 28 and 21.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 21. The Most High shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee.
So what's pestilence? You can tell me what pestilence means. Let's see. So I said kind of real briefly. Salaki, I'm not sure what you're referencing. Pestilence. Again, in the UPK, we actually look up the definitions of words so we can make sure we know what we're talking about. Absolutely. Y'all are correct. Young man Edward said sickness. Correct. Salaki. I get my fingers to work. Good night. Absolutely. Brother Tony said disease is correct. Sister Anna said disease is correct. The definition is a contagious or infectious epidemic disease that is virulent and devastating. Something that is destructive or pernicious. Oh, right. I got you. Right. Schools review the Trail of Tears very briefly. Correct. Absolutely brief. All right. But this pestilence would cleave. That's what was one of the curses that the Most High said was going to happen. So these diseases, all right, the diseases that Esau brought over here absolutely affected our brothers and sisters. All right. We're going to get into some more of that. Keep going for me.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 22. The Most High says,
Salaki, we got to finish out 21.
Oh, okay. Can I get it? Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 21. The Most High shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land.
Until he have consumed thee from off the land. This pestilence was going to happen until they were moved off of the land. And that's exactly what happened. Keep going.
Whether thou goest to possess it.
So that's what happened. The so-called Native Americans, the northern tribe, possessed. That's like the northern kingdom possessed this land. And then the Most High sent enemies here And that pestilence came until the northern kingdom was removed from off that land, and the enemies and the oppressors took them over. And that continued. Well, keep going to verse 22, Salah.
Verse 22. The Most High shall smite thee with a consumption.
Keep going.
And with a fever.
Keep going.
And with an inflammation.
Keep going.
And with an extreme burning.
This is all describing sickness. This is all describing sickness with a fever, with an inflammation, with an extreme burning, with the consumption. This is all things that happen. And the sister Anna is absolutely right. They gave them diseased blankets. We haven't even got there yet. We hadn't even got there yet. I think it was a smallpox, I believe. She's absolutely right. They gave them diseased blankets. This is all purposeful on this oppressor's part. But this is all because we did not follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Even then, we were not following the law, statutes, and commandments, and the Most High removed his protection and allowed this wicked bastard to come and have this effect on the way we were living our life. And what are we supposed to do? Come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, get in the ISUPK under command of General Yohana so that we can remove this oppression off of us. And the Most High can actually provide his protection back to us. All right. So keep going.
And with the sword.
And with the sword. What does that mean? That means not only are you going to be sick, you are going to be unalived. You are going to be unalived purposefully by this oppressor, by some nation, by a nation you don't know. You are in a land that you went to possess, but you're going to get sickness. You're going to be unalive until you're removed from that land. Keep going.
Like you. And with blasting.
With blasting. Who can tell me what blasting is? Who can tell me what blasting is? Let's see. Blasting. All right. Those who have that blue letter Bible, that's where we're going now. All right. Blue letter Bible. With the sword and with blasting. All right. We click on that scripture. Of course, we have our Hebrew there. And as we keep going down, we're going to see what the word for blasting is. All right. Shut up, pa. All right. Is the root word. What? Don't they use like it? All right. So when you go to that root word for blasting and look up, where is it? Click on something else. Where is it? Is it Strong's info? No, biblical usage, I think. There it is. Everybody can see that blighted or blasted thing, right? Blighted, blasted, or blight of crops. All right. So again, they lived off of the land. We're going to see once they were removed onto these reservations, the reservations weren't really made. That land, that soil was not good for farming. So this is another example of the Salakia. of the curses. Sister Nasa, every time I hear of the evil, wicked things the oppressor did to us, I'm in shock all over again. Listen, and you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right, sis. We don't have an understanding of how wicked this oppressor is, because that's not us. We don't have an understanding of how evil this bastard can be, because that's not us. We don't have an understanding of how, I mean, like she said, it's just you're in shock to think about the things that our ancestors went through. But is it really that shocking? Because we go through it today. To me, it's not that far from when you hear somebody, some brother, George Floyd is unalived on camera for 10 minutes. And somebody says, well, we don't know what happened before that started. Maybe it was the fentanyl. We don't know. He had a bad heart. That's probably what it was. When you can clearly see this man get unalived. But that type of thought pattern is what is unique to this oppressor. Every nation oppresses us. Every nation had a hand in our oppression and benefited from it. But this Esau is he's the most subtle beast of the field. He's the most dangerous beast of the field. So she is absolutely right. All right. Salaki. So that another curse that we were going to have. Let me pull Deuteronomy back up. Go ahead. Keep going. And you can start from the top if you want.
Verse 22. The Lord, the Most High, shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish.
And they shall pursue thee until thou perish. Listen, our Native American brothers and sisters are one of the main tribes that people don't even realize so-called Native Americans still exist. People don't even realize. I want to say it's about 300 reservations across the country of America, and people you don't see Native American brothers and sisters. They're isolated into these government sanctioned ghettos, and that it's out of sight, out of mind. And it's like they're absolutely perished. Obviously, Yagadah, 2nd Maccabees 7:31. All right, let me pull it up. That is in the Apocrypha. If anybody is not familiar, the Apocrypha. Matter of fact, I'll show you as I walk to it. All right. All right, now we're in the 1611 Bible. Anybody is not familiar, the 1611 Bible has the Apocrypha, which is the books that were between the so-called Old Testament and New Testament that were taken out. All right. If you get a printed 1611 Bible, it has no, It has no V, no U's. The letter U is not in it, and the letter J is not in it. That's because those letters were not invented yet. All right. And that's why it is the closest thing to the actual Hebrew and Greek. All right. Salakia. And thou hast been the author of mischief against the Hebrews. Shall not escape the hands of the Most High. And that is an awesome precept for what this oppressor is going to have to deal with. That is perfect for what this oppressor is going to have to deal with. They will not escape the hands of the Most High because they have been an author of mischief against us. And so that heritage that the brother was talking about, they don't look at it like hate, they look at it like heritage. That's their heritage. That's what's coming. That's gonna be what's for them. That's their inheritance. The fact that they will not escape the hands of the Most High for touching his children. That's going to be their heritage. So let them own it. Let them be just as happy as they want to be with it. Because they will be going into change when Christ returns. And is proud of their heritage as they are. Make sure to tell them keep that same energy. Keep that same energy when the Most High or when Yahweh Shah Mashiach comes back. All right? Most High in Christ. All right. Keep going.
Verse 23.
Oh, Salaki. I'm sorry. I got a habit of saying that. I meant that was me going over to the next, going back to the history. Salaki, that was not for you to keep reading. That's my fault.
Oh,
yeah, no sweat. All right. Indian Appropriations Act. As white settlers continued westward and needed more land, Indian territory shrank, but there was no more land for the government to move them to. In 1851, Congress passed the Indian Appropriations Act, which created the Indian reservation system and provided funds to move Indian tribes onto farming reservations and hopefully keep them under control, like Paul said before, control. But again, this was because we don't have anywhere else to move them. So now we're going to create these reservations. Y'all stay there and we will take the rest of the land. Life on reservations says the daily living on reservations was hard at best. Not only had tribes lost their native lands, but it was almost impossible to maintain their culture and traditions inside a confined area because that's not our culture to be in this confined area where that's no one's culture, to be honest. But to have that, you're essentially in jail. You are essentially in jail. But you were told, hey, we're going to leave you alone. Just make sure you stay here. All right. Says feuding tribes were often thrown together, and Indians who were once hunters struggled to become farmers. That's not our culture. All right. When you were a hunter, that's what you did. Now you want me to not do that, and you want me to farm. But again, the land wasn't really the best for farming, which is why you gave it to them. All right. Says starvation was common, and living in close quarters hastened the spread of disease brought by white settlers. Again, we talked about that in the scripture we just read. All right. All that disease, all that consumption, that fever, all of that, and it made it worse. Says Indians were encouraged or forced to wear non-Indian clothes and learn to read and write English, sow and raise livestock. Missionaries attempted to convert them to Christianity and give up their spiritual beliefs. Listen, what did they do to our ancestors when they brought us over from the Southern Kingdom? They stripped us of our identity. They refused to let us speak our language. They refused to let us practice our culture and our heritage and everything that we knew, our way of life. You cannot do that. You are now going to be a Christian. They did the same thing to the Native Americans. They did the same thing to the Native Americans. Lock it. I think we read that one already. Matter of fact, pull up Salakia. Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 36.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 36. The Most High shall bring thee, and thy king which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Salaki, give me 1 second. I gotta pull this back up. So like, read that from the top for me.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 36. The Most High shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee.
Stop right there. So we all know that the different tribes had chiefs, right? They set somebody over them, right? But we weren't following the law, statutes, and commandments. We weren't, the tribes weren't following who the Most High put there. We set those, the Northern Kingdom set those people over the tribe. All right. So that's part of the problem right there. We're not supposed to pick our own leaders. The Most High told us that Deuteronomy was it 17 and 15, I believe. All right. Keep going.
Unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Right. We had been over here living. The northern tribe came over here after the Assyrian captivity. All right. And we had been over here. And then this other nation came. They didn't know him. Their fathers didn't know him. And now let's see what's about to happen. Keep going.
And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
Wood and stone. Anybody does not know, the wood is talking about Christianity, and the stone is talking about Islam. That Kaaba stone that they go and circle 7 times, and then everybody puts their mouth on. It's disgusting. But that's what our people, our nation, the 12 tribes of Israel, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, that's what we are caught up in. Those are our 2 primary ones. Of course, there's Buddhism. There's a million different other things that we follow because we don't know who we are, right? But Christianity and Islam are the 2 main ones. And at the end of the day, it's all Christianity. It's all Christianity. It's all following after some other God that we do not know. That the Most High we were supposed to only follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High and do nothing with these other gods. All right. But that was all, as the sister said, that's their method. Exactly. That's exactly their method. It was always a process. All right. Because again, once you accept the God of another nation, you are a second-class citizen. Especially under Christianity, because everything that you suffer, as far as Christianity is concerned, gets you closer to the Most High somehow. They got to get you closer to God in their mind. Why? Because their God is white, blonde head and blue eyes. So as long as I'm inflicting all this pain on you, and you have to take it, you have to accept it. And the more you accept it, I'm going to tell you, the better you are. And like the sister said, that's their method, and it destroys our people. And it's why we have to wake our brothers and sisters up to make sure that they understand the law, statutes, and commandments. This Bible has nothing to do with Christianity. This Bible is not a religious book. This Bible is our heritage. It's our rules, statutes, and commandments, like law, statutes, and commandments that we get from the Most High. It's our culture. It's how we were supposed to deal with each other and how we were supposed to deal with the Most High. It's very simple.
Lucky.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's why it's so important that, we come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, because, that's the reason why we in the position that we in the first place, because, this devil very crafty, and it go all the way back, to the Garden of Eden, how he tricked up Eve, the Cain and Abel story. And then that same spirit came back into the earth through Rebekah when Jacob and Esau was born. Esau don't give a damn about his brother. Esau ain't care about Jacob, nor did Cain care about Abel. You understand? And that same spirit was, right back into the earth, and he been doing mischief and wickedness since the beginning. If you just listen to this lesson you bringing out, which is so heavy, you can see how methodic this devil is, man. And just how he against us, but it's so beautiful because the Most High letting us know in his word that he's taking crafty counsel against us. He's giving us a heads up. He's telling us, if you do this, if you don't do that, this is what's going to happen. He's telling you you're going to be taken by a nation, to go serve your enemies where nobody can redeem you. Nobody can rescue you. So this is the need, or why we need the UPK, and why we need, to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments. Our people really suffering out here, man. Like it's saying, Limitations 4 and 8 is so much in this particular chapter. If I could, and then I'm gonna give it back. It says their visage is blacker than a coal. A lot of, our people, we were beautiful people at one time, but, now we out here, we out there running the streets, drinking heavy and on drugs and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? You see a lot of beautiful women that was beautiful, and, men that was very strong and things of that nature. They starting to lose their, their persona, who they are as a man or a woman, their complexion turning black and things of that nature. And it says they are not known in the streets. We used to be known in the streets. Don't nobody know us no more out there. We ain't nothing but alcoholics and dope fiends and crack fiends and pimps and drug dealers. All of these things, and some of these things we actually glorify in. We don't got nothing to gravitate to. So we glorify being a pimp. We glorify being a dope dealer. We think these are some miraculous things, some admirable things. You understand? Because we have nothing else to really grasp a hold to. And it says their skin cleaveth to their bones. A lot of our people out there, man, can hula hoop through a Cheerio. We out there, very famished. That's why these clothing and food programs that we doing in the UPK is so much needed for our people, man. A lot of our people missing meals out there, man. And a little bit of money that they do get, they rather go spend it on drugs and alcohol and things of that nature. You understand? And it says it has become like a stick, but it's just describing the condition, man, that our people, have fallen in, under this oppressor, man, and that's why it's just so important that we really come out of these laws, statutes, and commandments, come in this UPK, man, and get our lives together, man, because this oppressor, this enemy and this devil that we dealing with, man, he's on point, and we sleep. And he got a whole lot of time and over top of us, 400 years. You understand, to run this game that he been running. And he been running the same game since the beginning of time. The water you.
Most High Christ, you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Sister said facts. Listen, us between being out here, like you said, drug dealers, pimps, whores, all of that between the Christian church and following after this oppressor, not following the law, statutes, and commandments. And like you said, the Most High told us, he gave us the information. You're going to be destroyed by another nation. But we don't listen. We're the same people, literally, we're the same people that have just come back into the earth, right? All these years later, still doing the same thing. Still doing the exact same thing. Running behind the American dream, which has nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us, but we're running behind some American dream. That's how we end up out there dealing dope, trying to get money so we can live like this wicked oppressor. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. That's not our culture. But we have no problem trying to assimilate and be brainwashed to live like this wicked bastard. But you are absolutely right. And it affects us over and over and over again. It's very palatable, and it gets worse. It gets worse, and it's getting worse, which is why, like you said, it's so important to come in to the body, come into the ISUPK and the Commanding General Yohana. And listen, if you're a brother, come in and get to work so we can help wake up the rest of our nation. Because that's the other thing we don't realize. Christianity has us so confused because we want to be our own person and we want to be an individual. That's not how the Most High judges us. We are a nation. Every other nation knows that they're a nation. Every other nation knows that they're on a team. We want to be on the oppressor's team. We want to be on the team of our enemy. Instead of being on our own team, following our own rules, having our own culture. And so that's what we got to wake our people up. You are absolutely right, brother. Absolutely right. I'm right.
Well, sound correct.
All right. All right, 1887, the Dawes Act was signed by President Grover Cleveland. allowing the government to divide reservations into small plots of land for individual Indians. Now the land is getting divided up even more. Again, methodical, as you said. It's a process. It's a process, right? Salaki, the government hoped the legislation would help Indians assimilate into white culture easier and faster and improve their quality of life. But as you just described, brother, assimilating and getting so much closer to this oppressor it's made us worse. It's made us absolutely worse. We are in a worse state now as a people than we were before integration. When we were segregated, we were better. We still weren't following the law, statutes, and commandments, so we did not have the Most High's protection, but we were better as a people, as a nation, collectively than we are now. It says, but the Dawes Act had a devastating impact on the Native American tribes. It decreased the land owned by Indians by more than half and opened up more land to white settlers and railroads. Much of the reservation wasn't good farmland. And that goes back to that blasting, that blight of crops, right? And many Indians couldn't afford the supplies needed to reap the harvest. So Lockie says prior to the reservation system, Indian women farmed and took care of the land while men hunted and helped protect the tribe. Now, men were forced to farm and women took on more domestic roles. Why? Because that's what that's what in the oppressor's mind, that's how that should work. The Indian Reorganization Act, after review, it was the law was ended in 1934 and placed with Indian Reorganization Act with the goals of restoring Indian culture and returning surplus land to tribes. It also encouraged tribes to self-govern, write their own constitution, and provide financial aid for reservation infrastructure. And that sounds good as well, but again, it's still assimilating to this oppressor's culture. We don't have a constitution in here. We don't have a democracy in Israel. We have a leader. We have Commanding General Yohana. We have orders. We have rank. And we follow the orders of the men above us. It's that simple. It's absolutely that simple. All right. Officer Yerad Shema and Captain Natzazak Nashah. Captain's number 1. Officer Garash is number 2. Orders come down, we get them done. There's no constitution in the Bible. And it's the same thing that Christ did. Christ gave orders to the 12 disciples. What the Christian church teaches about Christ, it could not be further from the truth. The Christian church wants you to believe that Christ was a soft hippie, this soft hippie that loved everybody and walked around just trying to make everyone happy. That's not what Christ was. Christ was a soldier. Christ was a man, a strong brother who gave out orders because he was coming to disrupt the leadership at the time. He was coming to tell them how wrong they were, and he did it over and over again. That's why every time when they came and asked him questions, it was always a challenge, and he cut them over and over and over again. Christ was not a soft brother. All right. Let's go back though. So they handle most reservation-related problems. Is that where I wanted to go? Okay, Salaki, this is talking about the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I didn't even know that was a thing. There's a bureau of federal agency, that's funded, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It says they handle most reservation-related obligations, but depend on federal government for financial support. On many reservations, the main sources of revenue are tourism and gambling. Despite their efforts, living conditions on reservations aren't ideal. Salaki, and often compared to that of a third world country. Housing is overcrowded and often below standards, and many people on the reservations are stuck in a cycle of poverty. Who does this sound like? This is the projects. This is the projects. This is where we are. It's just a different name because they put our so-called Native American brothers there. That's it. It says healthcare on reservations is provided through Indian health systems. What does that sound like? It sounds like the free clinic, but it's underfunded and in some cases practically non-existent. Many Native Americans die from lifestyle-related diseases such as heart disease and diabetes. What happens with us? Same thing. That goes back to that sickness, that consumption, that fever. It says infant mortality rates are significantly higher for Indians than whites, and alcohol and drug abuse is on the rise. Many people leave the reservations for urban areas in search of employment and improving improved living conditions. It's the same deal. Right. Officer Yagadar is absolutely right. It's an open air prison. Right. It's the original concentration camp. Correct. And when he says that, he's absolutely being specific. Hitler got his model from America. Concentration camps for the so-called Jewish Israeli. That was done because Hitler studied America. Those concentration camps were just his version of reservations. That's it. He's absolutely right. I'll give him a hand. Let's see. That was the end of that. What time is 8:45? All right. Now it went deeper than that, though. It went deeper than that. Salakia, young man Edward said they took the land our brothers owned in full and gave them a piece of it back. Exactly. They took it all. And here's the deal. They didn't exactly even give them a piece of it back. They confined them to a space on it. And it's government funded, it's government regulated, and they say they don't have, here's the deal. They say they're sovereign and they don't have to, they're not under the laws of the federal government. That's what it says. But we just saw there's a Bureau of Indian Affairs that helps to regulate things that go on in the damn reservation. So all of this is this, and their words are smooth as butter, and their heart is warm. Right? I'm right. Now, how do you, we're going to shift a little bit. How do you, if you want to fully assimilate a people, right? What's a good place to start? Let me see if y'all are with me. If you want to fully, especially the way, like with us, when we came over here, transatlantic slave trade, we were stripped of ours, right? Absolutely. But if you have a society where you're allowing people to, you don't have the chattel slavery, you don't have that level of oppression, but you still want to affect them, right? Obviously, Yagadar is absolutely right. School. Because once you start training the child, even the scriptures say, train up a child in the way he should go when he get old. And I'm paraphrasing, when he gets old, he shall not depart from it. So let's see. Were you all familiar? Y'all let me know who's familiar with boarding schools, so-called Native American or Indian boarding schools. It says one tactic of assimilation was making indigenous children attend boarding schools that forced them to abandon their customs and traditions with the goal of having them adopt mainstream American beliefs and value systems. Most High in Christ. All right, Yagadar was familiar. Watson was familiar as well. Sister Aya was familiar, absolutely. It says the system of assimilation, and this is what I think Sister Chanel kind of lent to that earlier. So this system of assimilation meant that children were separated from their families and communities for long periods of time. That's right. I was familiar. Damn right. Aqua Na was familiar. Most High Christ. Young man Ever was familiar. Damn right. It says the schools prohibited children from speaking their tribal languages required them to wear American-style dress and hairstyles, and made them give up their native religion for Christianity. Again, this is the same thing, different method, same goal that our people went through, that the Southern Kingdom went through. I think that was the end. Nope. But here's the deal. As of 2020, there are 7 federally funded boarding schools in the United States. The Bureau of Indian Education operates 4 of them, and 3 are tribally controlled. Now, who knew these schools were still in operation? Kind of lie. Who knew these schools was? Because I did not realize these schools were still in operation. Slocky. Okay, most not correct. So Yagdar said, I did not realize either. Sister Ayah said, Khan, she realized. Sister Ayah's in education, y'all. That's probably why she knew Slocky. I'm messing with you. But no, I did not know that these things were still in operation. And I'm trying to find it. But on top of that, who can tell me how they when they were first started, who can tell me how they functioned? Right. She said that's why, because she's in education. Most of that crying. Young man Edward said, he did not know exactly. These things are still in operation. And when they first started, they were structured as damn near military operations. You had children and they had them and they were treating them like they were breeding soldiers, like you would punish a soldier in the military. That's how the schools were ran. And so you were moving children from their family and parents and for long periods of time, and you're absolutely abusing them, all in an attempt to get them to accept your way of life and Christianity. So, let me see. I may not be able to see this, but I'll pull this up. These are just kind of 5 quick facts again about the level of oppression that our First Nation brothers and sisters have to deal with. Sure, y'all can't see that, but y'all know what it is. All right. It says Native Americans are the most impoverished ethnic group in the United States. According to a study done by Northwestern University, 1/3 of Native Americans live in poverty. The population has a median income of $23,000 a year, and 20% of households earn less than $5,000 a year. Due to the oppression of indigenous people, reservations cannot provide adequate economic opportunity. As a result, a majority of adults are employed. As a result, a majority of adults are unemployed. Standing Rock Reservation in North Dakota has better numbers than most reservations. 43% of the population lives under the poverty line. However, this rate is nearly 3 times the national average, and they're doing good. And 43% live under the poverty line. And you got fake Israelite groups out here saying that they're not Israel. They are doing worse than us in this with this stat. But you got these groups out here saying that they're not, and they're going to Africa trying to tell Hamites that they Israel. Slovakia. Says Native Americans have the highest risk for health complications across the board. Native American health is disproportionately worse than other racial groups in the United States. The population is 177% more likely to die from diabetes and 500% more likely to die from tuberculosis. Native Americans also have a 60% higher infant mortality rate when compared to Caucasians. Most Native American reservations rely on the Indian Health Service, a severely underfunded federal program that can only provide approximately 60% of the needs of the insured. That does not account for the majority of those on the reservations. Only about 36% of Native Americans have private health care, and 1/3 of the non-elderly remain uninsured. This is, listen, it's a government-sanctioned ghetto, and they're purposefully keeping it that way. So, lock it. Let me see. Young man Edward says this is a show. There was a show called 1923 that shows how terrible the boarding schools were. Most High in Christ. All right. What Salaki, if I could, what platform is that on? I want to make sure I check that out. Over 90% enrolled in care get assistance. Over 90% enrolled in care get assistance. I want to make sure I'm with you, Sister I. I want to make sure I'm with you. Give me a little bit more. Give me a little bit more. So, Lucky, Carl Spark, can you give me Deuteronomy 28:16?
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
And this is definitely the prophecy for Israel and America, because whether we are in the city, in the projects, or whether our Native American brothers are in the field, out away from the cities, we are cursed either way. We are cursed either way. We endure the same curses in this wicked kingdom. It does not matter. They follow us. The scriptures say they will follow you and overtake you. They're going to overtake us, and they have been, and they continue to. Okay, Amazon Prime. Most on Christ. I'm gonna check that out. The water of Native American children in early child care. I see what you're saying. So what the sister is saying is that over 90% of Native American children who are enrolled in daycare or in child care get assistance, which means over 90% of the Native American population who are enrolling their children are under the poverty line. Is that what you're saying, sis? I want to make sure I'm representing it correct. I want to make sure I'm representing it correctly. But this is the kind of these are the curses. These are the curses that not only if you are a so-called Judite, not only do you know these things to be true, we are cursed wherever we go. But Israel as a nation is cursed. And we have to understand that our First Nation brothers and sisters and the Northern Kingdom, so-called Native Americans, different tribes, they are our brothers. They are our sisters. And they went through the same hell and continue to go through the same hell that we do. So often, especially now, you don't hear a lot of brothers and sisters thinking about, unless they're in the ISUPK, they don't think about Native American brothers and sisters. They don't. They might think about our Latino brothers and sisters, son. Sister said, Khan, that's what she meant. No sweat. They might think about our Latino brothers and sisters, but you don't get a lot of perspective on brothers talking about what our Native American brothers and sisters went through. Unless, like I said, the only time I heard it was when I heard a brother saying that they were better off because they got the reservations. It's like, nah, that's not. Those are government-sanctioned ghettos. That's all they are. In a lot of ways, they're worse off than we are. Like Sister I saying, they don't receive as much assistance as other nations because they normally can only receive service from the native tribes. Interesting. So they have a greater need, but they can get less assistance. Is that what you're saying? They have a greater need for the assistance, but they have less resources to get assistance from. Again, if anybody wants to claim that these brothers and sisters are not Israel, that's what we have to get rid of. We don't have colorism in the UPK. Sister said, come. We don't have colorism. We don't have, what you look like does not matter. Salakia, you are what your father is. And Israel is identified. These curses were to be a sign so we could know who we were, so it could allow us to wake up in the land of our captors, as it says in the scriptures. All right. All right. We are bumping up at 9 o'clock. Salakia Kasapar, you got anything you want to add before I read these security announcements? And if there's any questions, anything anybody got in the chat, put it in. You got anything you want to add?
Yeah, just after everything you just brought out, which was very heavy to our class, that's why it's so important for us to, continue with the mission, like you were saying earlier. Christ sent the 12 out to the lost sheep of Israel. And through all of that, in the New Testament, the Apostle Paul continued the mission to the Gentiles in various areas, as we must do here in America, and wake up our people, because the ox knoweth his master, and the ass his master's crib. But our people don't even consider, their identity and where they come from and things of that nature. So that's why, it's very imperative that we be on point, get in here, and do what we got to do from the, the Akim to the Akwakium, and go wake our people up, man, and continue this mission, in 2024.
Damn right. Most High in Christ. You're absolutely right. Hey, the Water Officer Yagadar. Appreciate it. All right. Gonna read these security announcements real quick. We had an ISUPK started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brothers and sisters. Rule for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, they will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find it in Numbers 18 and 21 or Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. It means tenth, and in the Hebrew is pronounced ma'ashera. That's 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you. You can give it to the Treasury Department. You can also go to ISUPK.com, pay it directly there. Priest Fund. It's a free will offering for the priest. It's not mandatory whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation days. We are now in the Feast of First Fruits, since we had the closing of the Slakia. Since we had the closing of the Feast of Unleavened Bread yesterday, we are now in the Feast of First Fruits. If anybody, everybody who attended the Sabbath service yesterday understands that that's where we are. And I want to get the actual date because there will be a closing of the Feast of First Fruits.
Lucky y'all.
Go ahead.
Got the Yahweh Shakata.
Oh, you sound okay. No sweat. Yahweh Shakata. The water.
Yonaba.
All right. Okay. There it is. I want to make sure I got it for y'all. That will be June 17th, 2024. All right. June 17th, 2024 will be the closing of the Feast of First Fruits. All right. So that will be our next Holy Convocation Day. All right. And if any brother or sister wants to, if any brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you need to be in all black. That's black boots, pants, shirt, headband, and war scarf. Make sure you get in contact with the school, 757-550-1204. Let them know that that's what you want to do. In Virginia, 757-550-1204. If you are not in Virginia, you can go straight to Google, ISUPK near me, and you can get in contact with the school there. All right, let them know that that's what you want to do. You are a sister who wants to actually be in the school. You need to do the same. Contact the school nearest you in your zone. If you are in Virginia, again, it's 757-550-1204. You want to get a Hebrew name, you want to do all that, you need to be in contact with the school so they can so we can get you straight from that perspective. All right. And with that, I'll give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Shalom Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shah Barakathum. And to the sisters, Shalom Yahweh Shamar Alathan Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom Israel.
Where's he going with this shit? Cause tonight you belong to me. I'm from One West headquarters. Follow my captain's orders. Live in the land of pain and torture. No straw, but they want they mortar. Tell Trump, fuck borders. P.S. Prepare for slaughter. Never take they sons and daughters. Never give them alls in return. Niggas never wanna learn. Till they laying in the urn. Babylon, Babylon, Babylon. You gots to burn. Even if I gotta go with it. So fuck it, is you with it? Niggas never feel froggy, they just wanna rip it. If I see a bad bitch, then I gotta rip it. Your lip looking like the Red Sea when I split it. Tell me why that flow so vicious. Every time he switches, beat a nigga ass like mama did with switches. You niggas looking real, real gay. Where are the bitches? I mean, where are the sisters? Better stay away from witches. That's a brouhaha. Love me as she brew, ya. White people, he brew now. If you didn't know, then you do now. You belong to me. Yeah. Alright. This nigga's bonkers. From the same city as the Knickerbockers. Name ring bells from here to Yonkers. Or Nicaragua. You niggas too thirsty, you need some agua. I ain't talking Fina. When they kill my dog, I ain't hear shit from Peter. These niggas talk Kent, but they really mean FEMA. Kevin cut his eye, got more stripes than Adidas. If you ain't a bad bitch, then get the fuck off my penis. 1-2 step with a meat tree drip. Keep my circle tighter than my meat tree is. If I don't fuck with you, you a piece of shit. When I dip, you dip, we dip, we dip. This the type of shit that I sing to my bitch. No 6ix9ine, we don't sing no snitch. Gotta love that bass. Social distance, I love my space. Tell Karen, get the fuck out my face. We ain't never switching up on our race. You belong to me. It's you, baby. One more time. Gotta love that bass. Social distance, I love my space. Tell Karen, get the fuck out my face. We ain't never switching up on our race. Cause you belong to me. One more time for the ladies in the back, eh?